Welcome back to the Hoda Show. We started off the day with Shania Twain, just walked right in, sang a little song with us, and strolled right out. Next up on deck, we've got Randall Jones. Randall is an author. He's a columnist, and he's promoting his book called Show Me. Show Me. He's met tons of celebs just because of his personality.
Well, you're very kind.
Well, okay, so you're from the Show Me state.
I'm from the Show Me state.
Okay, right. So hence the title.
Right.
So you found writing. Did you always love it since you were young?
Oh, no. I'm like an arts kid.
Yeah.
It was something, I think if you actually talk to my English teachers from school, you write? I mean, I think they'd be completely stunned that I did this.
Really?
But you've done it. And I think Sumut Kid, one of the people, a wonderful author that I interviewed, she said, and I'm going to paraphrase a bit, writing's like being alone with yourself.
Yeah.
In the best possible way. And just over time, I discovered that was really
loved
true.
It.
Yeah.
What's interesting is writing is an important part of this, but more important, I think, is your skill, your interviewing skill. It's about getting people, number one, to talk to you. I mean, look, you could be anybody on the planet Earth, and you call Kathy Griffin, you call Susie Orman, you call whomever, and say, hey,
and
I'd like
nobody.
to interview.
I mean, essentially, I was a nobody.
So how did you get, who was your first big interview and how'd you get it?
It was really, I'm trying to think of really who was the first big one. And it depends on how you really determine to be big. I will say I put a lot of focus on women. As a father of a 26-year-old daughter, empowering women was very important to me. And a lot of women said no to me.
Oh, wow.
It was very strange. For the first couple of years, I interviewed over 100 people over the course of 4 years. Barbara Corcoran said yes.
Was she your first big yes?
She was kind of the first big yes. And I told her women were telling me no, and she was kind of appalled. And, she goes, why? And I said, I don't know. Maybe it's comfort level. But what I discovered is even though women may have been more reticent to say yes, I mean, as you can see from what followed after Barbara, it really opened up, and they were a lot more open to me, I think.
Isn't Barbara like a tough nut? Oh. She's so fascinating. Like her life, you get why she's successful, don't you?
She's so funny, though. There's a side to Barbara that show does not showcase.
Right?
She's hysterical. She's a party girl.
And by the way, she says the most inappropriate things.
Oh, yes, she does.
All the time. We used to always be afraid when she walked through the Today Show studio. We're like, oh my God, she might say it on air. You never know. And she doesn't care.
Yeah.
She couldn't care less.
Yeah, we had a photo shoot that I will never forget between the two of us, and I will not say on the air what happened.
So you interview a bunch of different celebs and put them in this book.
Right.
What from each person you must learn a ton of stuff about them, but are there like takeaway or lessons for people who are reading like, maybe X, Y, or Z?
Yeah, I think every single person, I knew all along I wanted to write a book.
Right.
And I wanted to talk to people from all different walks of life. And so when I talked to them, I made an effort to find a new lesson. It's not like nobody wants to read all these different interviews and have it be the same thing. But I got to tell you, and you and I talked about this, listening. I mentioned the word listen or listening 51 times.
Wow.
In the book. And 53 if you talk about the times me talking about the fact that I mentioned it 51 times.
What do you ask? Because sometimes getting someone to open up, I mean, you're essentially talking to someone you've just met.
Right.
And you want some intimacy, some info that you're not going to get just from reading other articles. Are there certain things you ask?
We're in a world now where, especially if they have any sort of footprint, it's somewhat easy to find out something about them.
So you know that stuff. But
And I'd like to believe, and I've interviewed you, I think I'm naturally curious.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to think I come across as respectful. I've done enough research to understand what's happening in their world. And a lot of people like Pat Benatar, I mean, I love to showcase. I did a singing telegram for her in 1982.
What?
I did a singing telegram for her.
Wait, for her? You knocked on the door and you sang?
She was coming to my hometown, did a singing telegram for her in 1982 because I wanted to meet her. Totally fake fan. I was doing singing telegrams at the University of Missouri.
Okay. And what did she say? Like, what the heck?
And no. We set it up, and she was so gracious, and she was so kind that she changed my life. I'm 20 years old, making me believe I could do something. This is me as a kid. I'm 20-year-old college student.
Yeah.
33 years later, I got to say thank you. I got to sit across from her and say thank you. So I went into every single person that I talked to because I had something to say to them. And I believe it came from the heart every time.
How were you making a living before this book and before you went to the Naples Daily News and said, pick me? Like, what were you doing?
Well, I've owned a marketing company for quite some time.
Okay.
So I've always been kind of the creative guru type, whether I'm writing for clients or art directing or things like that. And I now do that as a consultant, and I still do that. But, I was pushing 50 when I started this. And,
So you were pushing 50. Was this when you walked into the Naples?
Yeah.
So tell that story. So you walk into the Naples Daily News.
Yeah.
And what did you tell
And Naples, Florida's got all these incredibly successful people there. CEOs and CFO that are retired. And I said, I want to learn still. You could be pushing 50 and still want to learn. I still had something I wanted to accomplish. So I went in and said, anybody really talking to these people? And they said, no, do you want to do it? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And I went, but then I
So it was like a column with kind of successful
people. And I was a
people?
lone wolf though, man. I went off on my own, and I kind of started with the CEO, CFO, and then Jungle Jack Hanna happened pretty quickly. And I thought, wow, what could we talk to him about? Cassie DePaiva from Days of Our Lives. A lot of people talk about office drama, but who's talked to a soap star?
Right.
Drama? They like Carl Edwards from NASCAR. I mean,
all different, yeah.
And I thought everybody works. So it really
one by one, you started doing these interviews. They wound up in the paper. People must have liked them. And then you just decided, hey, why don't we go a little more in depth and put it in a book?
Put it in a book. And actually just sit there and go ahead and put it together. And now I have to admit that was the plan all along. And I'm glad because it focused me on making sure that I wasn't telling the same story over and over again.
The whole idea about being 50 and saying, you know what, I'm going to try something new takes moxie.
And it's terrifying.
Yeah,
it's terrifying.
And I'm sure there are, I would only imagine if you're driving in your car now, there are probably some things you wish you could try. And you have a million reasons why you're afraid to. I want to be safe. I need this. I don't want to, what if I get rejected? Tell me what went into the thought process of going in there and saying, I'm going to go for it.
I wasn't where I belonged. And I'm not just quoting your book. Your book was in my hands when I was putting mine together.
Right.
I knew there was more. I knew that I wanted to leave a legacy. And I knew that just because I was pushing 50 and I pushed well past it now, that I still could accomplish things. And I knew I still had something to say. And I knew that there were people who could still teach me. And to anybody who, it is worth it. I mean, is the cash flowing in? Absolutely not. But this sounds so corny. Yeah. But I'm richer than I've ever been.
And you seem like you're happy in your personal life. I see a very handsome hunk whom I remember from the Today Show days, who's recovered now.
Hashtag Derek Go Boom.
Yeah. Hashtag Derek Go Boom. But when you feel like that part of your life is squared too, so I think that matters. I think there are a lot of people who are going through life and they are either not with the right partner or the right person, or they're trying to put a circle in a square and make their life work and say this is the way it should. Let's just keep it together. But describe your transformation.
It became people kept saying, why do you do it?
Yeah.
Because I didn't take money for it. I wanted to do it. I was the lone wolf rider. It became a drug, Hoda.
Yeah.
And I think you know this from doing what you do. You go out, and I started talking to people and opening new doors. Erin Brockovich has been amazing to me. I mean, she continues to be my cheerleader. Peggy Post from the Emily Post Institute continues to be my cheerleader. Then
why do you think these guys are rooting for you? Like, why? I think it's cool.
I think I'm a nice guy.
Yeah. No,
Am I blushing? This is radio. You can't tell, but I'm sure I'm blushing a little bit.
They must see something. Because I think when you see a fighter, a go-getter, somebody who's trying to do something that they haven't done before and making it, you know what I mean? There's one thing to be able to, I don't know, you're successful. Like you have, you worked at the paper, you've got this book out, you actually turned it into something.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to believe that people can tell that I really do care. I really was looking for where I belonged. I was looking for something was new and was more meaningful, and I wanted to share it. I'm all of a sudden, I'm almost 55 now. For anybody in my age group, you can still do this stuff. We're not done. We really aren't done. I've met people a woman named Myra Daniels, who I refer to as the godmother of my book, her husband was the inspiration for the character of Don Draper on Mad Men. Wow. She's in her 90s now, and she's still the nonprofit queen of Collier County. And I mean, Peter Thomas, very famous announcer who, really his voice is everywhere. If you hear his voice, he passed away in his 90s and worked up until he was in his 90s.
Wow.
These people who were down there that are in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s, who were still accomplishing and doing extraordinary things, and they're calling me son. I'm pushing 50, and they're like, hey, son, they're patting me out. I think age, I felt a lot younger when I got there, and therefore felt like I had more time to get something done.
I think it's cool when you think about the people in their 90s who are still accomplishing things, because I think there is a point where you feel like sometimes society says, okay, wrap it up. Like, when are you retiring? I mean, that's something that people say to people in their 60s, and when you think about how much more that there is out there. I mean, I was talking to Kathy Lee today. She's writing this song. She's working on this. She's working on that. And I look at her and I said, you could tell someone who's vibrant, they keep creating. Like, they can't stop. And if they do, it's over. It really is.
And you live where we live, where there's so many, people, seniors there. And let me tell you, the ones that are happiest and healthiest, I think Naples, Florida taught me how to age. They are involved not just physically, but mentally. They are doing something. They're accomplishing things. They're using their brain. They're thinking. They're reading. The people that are just like, yeah, we'll go out to the lunch and we'll go golf 3 times a week. Their life is about doctor's appointments. And I've seen it over and over. My friend Carol, who is my editor, Carol Green, she's just my hero. Because she's 76 and she's involved in everything.
Wow.
And I see it over and over again, and I'm thinking, wow, if these people can do it, I can do this.
The book is called Show Me. You've got so many celebs in here. Suze Yorman, Barbara Corcoran, Pat Benatar, Aaron Brockovich, James Carville, Shirley Jones. Oh my gosh, I love her. Sue Monk Kidd, we mentioned, Mary Madeline, Tyler Matheson, Vanessa Williams, so many more.
Yeah.
Randall, thank you for coming to see us.
Thank you.
The book, again, is called Show Me. You're listening to The Hoda Show. We'll be back after the break.